You wake up with cold hands that won't warm up for an hour. By the afternoon, your legs feel heavy, even though you slept fine. And every so often, you catch yourself forgetting a simple word right in the middle of a sentence. You've probably been told, "This is just getting older." But your arteries are telling a different story. They're stiffening, they're narrowing, and the cholesterol from your last meal is already sticking to the walls. Here's the good news. There's a small group of common fruits that work like a cleaning crew for the inside of your blood vessels. One of them was tracked in a 3-year clinical trial that actually measured how thick the artery walls were. I'm going to show you all 5 fruits, tell you which one took the top spot in that trial, and give you a simple morning juice recipe that combines the 3 most powerful ones into a single glass. So let's talk about what's really happening in there. After 60, the lining of your arteries starts to lose its smooth surface. Tiny cracks form, and LDL cholesterol slips in and oxidizes. That oxidized cholesterol triggers inflammation, and before long you've got a plaque deposit that makes the passage narrower. Now the blood has to squeeze through a smaller opening. That raises the pressure, and it wears out the artery walls. Your heart pumps harder. Your brain gets less oxygen, and your hands and feet stay cold because the warm blood just can't reach them fast enough. Most people blame their age, but the real culprit is what you're eating and what you're not eating. Each of these 5 fruits attacks the problem from a different angle. One catches cholesterol before it ever enters your bloodstream. Another keeps the artery itself flexible under pressure. The third one actually reduced measured plaque thickness in a human study. The fourth opens the vessel almost instantly by boosting nitric oxide. And the fifth repairs the inner lining so new plaque can't stick. Let me walk you through each one, and then I'll show you how to load 3 of them into a morning juice that starts working before breakfast. Let's start with the first one. The apple. I think of the apple as a sponge in your digestive tract. Apples are rich in pectin, a soluble fiber that binds to bile acids and excess cholesterol in your gut. When pectin latches onto cholesterol, your body can't absorb it, so it passes right through instead of entering your bloodstream. And less cholesterol in your blood means less material available to stick to your artery walls in the first place. The European Food Safety Authority recognizes a cholesterol-lowering claim specifically for pectin, which means this mechanism has been reviewed at a regulatory level. And a 2014 study published in a peer-reviewed journal found that apple pectin reduced heart muscle damage in rats whose arteries were blocked and then reopened. The researchers concluded that the fiber protected the tissue by limiting the inflammation that follows a loss of oxygen. Now, that study was done on animals, but it supports the idea that apple pectin does more than just lower a number on a chart. It may actually shield the heart from the kind of stress that blocked arteries create. For the best effect, eat the apple raw with the skin on, or choose a cloudy apple juice that still has the pulp in it. The fiber lives in the flesh and the peel, not in the clear, strained liquid you find in most cartons. Here's a small trick. Your body produces more bile acids in the morning after an overnight fast. So eating an apple early in the day gives the pectin the most cholesterol to bind to. 1 medium apple on an empty stomach, or a small glass of cloudy juice with the pulp, is enough to get the process going. Think of the apple as your first line of defense. It catches cholesterol before it ever reaches your arteries. But what about the arteries that are already stiff and narrowed? That's where the second fruit comes in, the avocado. If the apple catches cholesterol early, the avocado keeps the artery itself flexible, so plaque can't grab hold. Avocados are packed with monounsaturated fats, potassium, and plant compounds called phytosterols. The monounsaturated fats don't raise your LDL the way saturated fats can. The phytosterols compete with cholesterol for absorption in your gut. But for seniors, the real star here is the potassium. After 60, arteries tend to harden, like old rubber hoses that have been left out in the sun. And when an artery is stiff, it can't expand and contract with each heartbeat. The pressure spikes higher with every pump, and those spikes make it easier for plaque to crack and trigger a clot. Potassium helps the smooth muscle in your artery walls relax. That keeps the vessel supple and responsive. A 2025 systematic review published in a major medical database found that eating avocado favorably influenced cardiovascular risk markers in adults, including better lipid profiles and blood pressure indicators. The review pulled together multiple studies and concluded that regular avocado intake is consistently linked to better vascular outcomes. So, how do you eat it? Half an avocado on whole grain toast in the morning gives you a real dose of potassium and healthy fat without spiking your blood sugar. You can also blend half an avocado into a smoothie for a creamy texture that carries other flavors well. And remember, the goal here isn't to eliminate cholesterol completely, because your body needs some of it to build hormones and cell membranes. The goal is to keep the pipes flexible so that whatever cholesterol is there can't settle and harden. Avocado keeps the pipes flexible. But what if the pipes are already narrowed? That brings us to the third fruit, and honestly, this is the one to remember, the pomegranate. This is the fruit that was proven in a human trial to actually shrink the thickness of existing plaque in the arteries. Pomegranates have an unmatched concentration of polyphenols, tannins, and anthocyanins. These compounds hunt down the free radicals that turn ordinary LDL cholesterol into oxidized, sticky plaque. Because when LDL oxidizes, it triggers inflammation inside the artery wall. And that's the first step toward a full blockage. By neutralizing those free radicals, pomegranate juice stops the oxidation before it can even start. Now, here's the study. It was led by Dr. Michael Aviram and published in the journal Clinical Nutrition back in 2004. 19 patients with severe carotid artery stenosis, that's a dangerous narrowing of the arteries that feed blood to the brain, were split into two groups. 10 of them drank 50 milliliters of pomegranate juice every day. The other 9 changed nothing and served as the control group. After 1 year, the doctors used ultrasound to measure the thickness of the artery walls directly, and the results were dramatic. In the pomegranate group, the thickness of the artery wall dropped by 35%. In the control group, that same measurement went up by 9% over the same period. So the pomegranate patients weren't just slowing the disease down, they were rolling it back. On top of that, their antibodies against oxidized LDL fell by 19%. Their total antioxidant levels in the blood rose by 130%. And the activity of an enzyme that protects LDL from oxidizing jumped by up to 83%. Their top blood pressure number also fell by 21% after 1 year. It gets better. 5 patients from that original group kept drinking the juice for a full 3 years, and the benefits held steady the entire time. In 2 cases where patients later needed surgery, the plaque taken from their arteries showed much lower levels of oxidized fats and a higher antioxidant content compared with the plaque from the control patients. This is the only fruit on this list with direct human evidence of reducing measured artery wall thickness. No other fruit here has been tested in a trial that ran 3 years and used ultrasound to literally watch the walls get thinner. And that is why pomegranate takes the top spot. For daily use, drink 50 milliliters of pure pomegranate juice, or sprinkle fresh pomegranate seeds over your morning oatmeal. The juice is concentrated, so a small amount goes a long way. The fresh seeds give you the same polyphenols with a little added fiber. Pomegranate goes after the plaque that's already there, but this next fruit works almost instantly to widen the channel. The watermelon. Watermelon is one of the richest natural sources of an amino acid called L-citrulline. Your body converts it into L-arginine, which then fuels the production of nitric oxide. And nitric oxide is the molecule that tells the smooth muscle in your artery walls to relax and open up. When the vessel widens, blood flows more freely, the pressure drops, and your heart doesn't have to work as hard. A 2025 systematic review and meta-analysis of randomized trials published in a peer-reviewed journal found that L-citrulline and watermelon reduced arterial stiffness and improved blood vessel function in middle-aged and older adults. The researchers looked at several independent studies, and the effect held up across different groups of people. And a separate 2022 study on wild watermelon juice showed that a single serving reduced arterial stiffness shortly after drinking it, which suggests the effect can begin within hours, not weeks. For seniors, this really matters because stiff arteries are often the very first measurable sign of trouble. When the arteries can't open up, every heartbeat hits the walls like a hammer. And over time, that pounding damages the lining and creates more places for plaque to settle. Watermelon gives your vessels a brief but real break from that. Eating fresh watermelon on an empty stomach in the morning may help you absorb the most L-citrulline, since there's no other food competing for it in your gut. You can also blend it into a juice with a squeeze of lime for something refreshing that starts working before you even finish the glass. Watermelon opens the pipes wide, but if the inner walls are rough and inflamed, plaque still has somewhere to grab on. And that's the job of the last fruit, blueberries. Blueberries fix the problem of rough, inflamed artery walls by repairing the endothelium. That's the thin inner lining of every artery. It's supposed to be smooth and slick, like a freshly waxed floor. But when it's damaged, the surface turns rough and sticky, and that makes it easy for cholesterol and calcium to latch on. Once they latch on, inflammation follows, and a plaque deposit is born. Blueberries are loaded with anthocyanins, deep blue pigments that give the fruit its color. These compounds have powerful anti-inflammatory and antioxidant properties, and they target the endothelium directly. A 2024 systematic review and meta-analysis published in Frontiers in Physiology concluded that blueberries improve human blood vessel function across multiple studies, And a 2023 review in another peer-reviewed journal showed that the anthocyanin compounds actually reach the vessel wall and do the repair work. They don't just float around in your blood. Here's why that's so important. Damage to the endothelium is one of the earliest signs of heart disease, often showing up years before your cholesterol numbers ever look alarming. By the time your doctor spots high LDL, your endothelium may have been rough and inflamed for a decade. Blueberries go after that root problem before it ever becomes a full blockage. A cup of fresh or frozen blueberries a day, added to yogurt or oatmeal, gives you enough anthocyanins to support that repair based on the doses used in the studies. And frozen blueberries keep most of their anthocyanins, so they're often the more affordable choice all year round. So now you've got 5 tools. Let me show you how to load 3 of them into a single morning glass. This juice brings together pomegranate, watermelon, and blueberries because together they cover 3 completely different jobs in one drink. The pomegranate goes after existing plaque and cuts down oxidation. The watermelon opens up the vessels with nitric oxide. And the blueberries repair the lining so new plaque can't find a foothold. Together they do what no single fruit can do on its own. The recipe is simple. Pour 50 milliliters of pure pomegranate juice into a blender. Add 1 cup of fresh watermelon chunks with the seeds removed. Add half a cup of fresh or frozen blueberries. Then pour in 1 cup of water and blend until it's smooth. The watermelon gives you most of the volume and the sweetness, so you don't need any added sugar. And if you want a little extra kick, drop in a thumb-sized piece of fresh peeled ginger or a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. The ginger supports circulation and adds a bit of warmth, and the cinnamon helps soften the blood sugar response from the natural fruit sugars. Drink this on an empty stomach within 30 minutes of waking up. Your gut absorbs the L-citrulline and the polyphenols more efficiently when there's no other food competing for them. After you finish the juice, wait about 20 minutes before you eat breakfast. That short gap gives the compounds time to get into your bloodstream and reach your vessels before a bigger meal dilutes them. It won't undo decades of damage in 1 glass, but it's a real, measurable daily step toward cleaner arteries. And consistency matters far more than perfection. A glass every morning for 3 months will do far more than a gallon once a month. Before you start drinking this every day, there are 2 quick warnings you need to hear. First, pomegranate juice can interact with blood-thinning medications like warfarin. If you're on any kind of anticoagulant, talk to your doctor before adding pomegranate to your routine, because the compounds in it can amplify the effect of the drug, and that raises your bleeding risk. Second, both avocado and pomegranate are fairly high in potassium. So if you have advanced kidney disease or you're on a potassium-restricted diet, you may need to limit your portions or pick lower potassium fruits from this list instead. And if you have diabetes, just know that watermelon can raise your blood sugar if you have a lot of it without any protein or fat to slow it down. The juice also has pomegranate and blueberries, which carry natural sugars too. So pair the juice with a small handful of nuts or a boiled egg at breakfast to blunt the spike. In the studies, the blueberry benefits showed up with about half a cup to 1 cup a day, so staying in that range is sensible. And finally, nothing here replaces your prescribed medication or your doctor's advice. These fruits are an addition to a heart-healthy routine. They're not a substitute for medical treatment. So here's the bottom line. Your arteries don't have to stiffen and clog just because you're getting older. You've now got 5 fruits that each attack plaque in a different way, and a single morning glass that loads the 3 most powerful ones into one easy habit. And if you only remember one thing from today, make it the pomegranate study, a 35% reduction in artery wall thickness in a single year, measured by ultrasound with the benefits holding for 3 years. That's not a theory, that's data. Now I'm curious, drop a comment below and let me know which of these 5 fruits you already eat. I'll see you in the next one.